Hello everyone, my name is Jeremy Amogus, and today I will create a task manager program in C Sharp. And in this program, the user it will allow the users to view, add, and remove tasks while saving them in a file. So let's get started. So at the very top of the program, we use the using keyword to import built-in C Sharp libraries. These libraries provide functionalities we need to make your program work. And system, this is the core library that allow us to display text like the console.writeLine and read user input the console.readLine. And and I put the system.collections.generic because this allows us to use list like the list string which are essential for storing our tasks dynamically. And the next one is using system.io. This means it will enable us the file operations, allowing us to read and write tasks from a file. Without these using statements, our program wouldn't be able to access this built-in feature. Now we define a class called Task Manager. In C Sharp, a class is a container that holds all our methods and variables. The class keyword is used to define a new class, and Task Manager is its name. And the curly braces define the beginning and the end of the class. And inside this class, we declare a string variables, which is private static string file path equals task.text. Private, this means the variable can only be used inside this class. And static, this means the variable belongs to the class itself and is shared across all methods. And the string file path equals to task.text. This variable holds the file name where the task will be stored. This variable will be used throughout our program to store and review tasks from a file. Next is we need to put private static void ensure file exists. Private static void ensure file exists. This method ensure file exists. Make sure that a file exists before we start using it. If the file doesn't exist, it creates one and adds two default tasks. And the private, this method can only be used inside this class. And the static, this belongs to the class itself. And the void, this means the method does not return any value. And in this method, we have to write if file that exists file path is this means is to check if the file exists, and the exclamation mark, it means not. So this condition checks if the file does not exist. And if the file does not exist, um, we create it using, put the curly braces, file that write all lines, file path, new list, and then list, string, then open a curly braces, shopping, walk the dog. You should only put file path. So file that write all lines, file path, and the new list. This creates a files and writes the list into it. And the new list string shopping walk the dog creates a list containing two default tasks. Now, every time we start the program, we have a file containing at least two tasks. Now, the next method, we have to write the method to read task from the file. So, private static list, list, string, load tasks. This method load task, it reads the task from the file and return them as a list. And then we create an open and end statement, list this string task equals new list string, and then add the statements. This means this means that we have to create an empty list to store task, and we have to check if the file exists. If file that exists in file path. And next, we have to create a program if to read all lines from the file and store them in an array. So string lines equals file that read all lines file path. And we also need to put the for each var line in lines for each var line in lines. This means that to loop through each task in the file. And if the string is null or white space, it in this means that to ensure blank lines aren't added to the list, and we have to create another statement, task. This means that we have to add each task to the list and removing extra spaces. These methods ensures we always have an up-to-date list of tasks. And the next method is we have to display the task to the users. So private static private private space static void display tasks list list the string tasks. So these methods print tasks as a numbered list, and we have to put a text, right line, current tasks. If the task that count equals 0. So it will show the current task. And then we will make another statement, console, right line, no task, no task available. End of the statement. Or else, put the else here. Else, else, or INTI equals 0, I, task, and then console, right line, $sign. tasks I. So on the display method, it means that we have to print the task as a numbered list, and the I plus 1 ensure the list starts at 1 and not 0. And the current task, this is the message displayed to indicate that the following list contains task. And the if, this is the conditional statement that executes the code inside this curly bracket only if the condition is true. That's why I put if task that count equals to 0. This checks if the number of tasks in the list is 0, and it will return the total number of tasks in the list. And the next method is we're working with the add task. So add task gets user input, adds it to the list, and updates the file. So private static void private add task. So this method lets us add a new task to the list, but only if it's a valid input. Now let's go through it by step. So first, uh, this is the definition, and then the next, uh, we ask the user for a new task. So console dot write enter a new task, then end the statement. So this is a simple prompt asking the users to type out the task they want to add. And once the user enter the task, we capture their input using uh, string new task equals console dot readline dot trim. This reads the input from the console and removes any unnecessary space at the beginning or end using the trim. Now we check if the user entered something valid. So if the string is null or empty, new task. This checks if the task is not null or empty, making sure the user didn't leave the input blank. Now, if the task is valid, we add it to the list. So we have to put, let me correct this one first. So if the task is valid, we have to add it to the list. So we need to put here task, add new task, and then file that write all lines. This should be file path. And then put the tasks. This adds the new task to the list of tasks. And the meaning of file that write all lines file path task is after adding the task, we update the file where we store the task. And this saves the new list of a task back to the file, ensuring the change is permanent. And then we have to put here a note that we have to inform the user that the task is added successfully. So task write line, task added successfully, dash n. Or else, so we have also to inform the user that if the user didn't enter anything, we show them an error message. Uh, task write line. We have to show the error message that the task cannot be empty. Please enter a valid task. Then end of the statement. So this prompts, it will prompt to the user to try again with a valid task. And then we have to put the main. This is the entry point of the program. The program, if continuously loops, showing tasks and asking the users what to do. So this is a simple loop that keeps asking the user what they want to do, if they want to add a task, remove a task, or exit the program. So I have to put here public static void main. Then put open and curly braces. First, we call ensure file exists. This ensures that the file where we store tasks actually exists. If it doesn't, the program will create it. Then we load the task from the file using the list string tasks equals load tasks. This loads the task into the list so we can display them to the user and allow the interaction. Next, we enter the while true loop. While true. This keeps the program running continuously until the user decides to exit. Every time through the loop, we reload the task. We display them and ask the user what action they want to take. So that's the purpose of while true loop. And then at the start of each loop, we load the task again with tasks equals load tasks. This ensures that if any tasks were added or removed they're updated every time the user makes a choice. Then we call display task, open parenthesis task, to show the list of current tasks. And then we have to the we have to ask the user. So console that right line, what would you like to do? Add, remove, or exit. Um, this means that it will give them three options if they want to add a task, to remove a task, or exit the task. And whatever the user types, we check their choice using string choice equals console dot redline dot trim to lower, to ensure we handle it case insensitively. And if the user types add, we call add task, which allow them to add a new task to the list. So we put here if, so that they have a choice, add, add tasks. So this will display a task by the choice of the user. And if the user choose to remove, so we have to put here else if choice remove, then remove tasks. And if the user choose to exit, then we can put here choice exit. Then it will stop the program. So console that right line. So I'll just put here exiting the program, so that they will know that once they exit, there will be a pop-up message exiting the program. And the other, or else, let me put here, if they enter an invalid choice, there will be a pop-up message, invalid choice. Please enter, add, or remove, or exit. All right, I think I'm all done with the task manager programming, and let's try to see if this will work. So, so the default current task that I put earlier, as you can see here, is shopping and walk the dog. And then if I want to add a new task, just type add, and I want to put here, let's say, gardening. So the message shows the task added successfully, and it will add to the file or to the current task. Now I want to add more tasks, let's say cleaning. So it will just keep adding. And if you want to remove a task, just type remove, and then you have to enter the number of the task that you want to remove. So let's say I want to remove the number 4, which is the cleaning, and there is a pop-up message, task removed successfully. And now the remaining tasks are shopping, walk the dog, and gardening. Now if I want to exit, it will show exiting the program. So that's it for today, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.